Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the continuation of our last video related to uh, how we can hunt the scholarship and how we can avail the consents from supervisor for master or PhD or postdoc fellowship. So in our last video we have explained there are two major components related to once we are going to explore the supervisor, and we linked with two steps. One is consent from supervisor, and our last video related to this described the steps how we can avail the consent from supervisor in detail. And the second part is what kind of documents we are required while we are approaching to supervisor or professors to avail the consent. Today my focus will be related to postdoc fellowship. After completing PhD, once we are looking for postdoc, what kind of documents we are required while approaching the supervisor. First of all, we have to understand there are two types of postdoc. One is the postdoc which is funded by your home country. If I talk about Pakistan, mostly Higher Education Commission Pakistan call for postdoc, and they fund the postdoc. And the second one is there are many different countries they are offering postdoc fellowships. Different universities are offering postdoc fellowships, and different countries they are having funding opportunities, and they call each year the postdoc projects. They hire the different professors from different scholars from different universities to engage them in their ongoing projects, and they look for the young graduates, PhD graduates, which they can engage them in their ongoing projects. So our concern about today video is what kind of documents we are required to send the supervisor or potential professor. Linked with our last video, how we can explore the professors or potential supervisor for our postdoc fellowship. And the second part is what actually we have to send them. That is very important part, how we can get the interest of professor, what we have to write him or her, and how we can get their consents to supervise your postdoc. I suppose first of all, we targeted her, we have taken the example of Australia. If we look at Australia, in that there is a government scholarship, that is Enders scholarship, and each year they call for master students, postdoc students, as well as PhD fellowships and senior fellowships they offer under the head of Australian Enders program. So first of all, we have to develop a cover letter, and cover letter, what it contains, actually suppose we have identified some potential supervisor, and we have to write them what actually we have to write in the cover letter. Suppose there is a sample, it's not hard and fast rule, there might be different patterns, but as per my understanding and my experience, I normally use this type of cover letters. Suppose I have explored different professors from Australia, and one of the university, that is Queensland University of Technology in Australia, and I wanted to send an email to Professor Peter. He's working in domain of finance, and I will be writing to dear Professor Peter, his designation, that is associate professor, then in which department he belongs to, then what is the exact name of university, and what is the subject. Look at here, I am applying for Endeavour's postdoctoral fellowship under the head of Australian Endeavour's Australian Endeavour's program. So in subject, I am writing Endeavour's postdoctoral fellowship round, whatever the round is now in this year. They are normally going to call for 2021 round. Here I start from that, dear professor. In first paragraph, you have to talk about your introduction, that what actually you are doing. For example, as I talk about myself, I am currently working as an assistant professor at University Institute of Management Sciences, PMAS, Arid Agriculture, University, Rawalpindi, Pakistan. That is my brief introduction. You can write your introduction in the first sentence, what actually you are doing. And I am writing to seek your consent as a host of Endeavour's postdoctoral fellowship application. First sentence is related to my introduction, and second is the purpose, why I am writing. Australian government provides the Endeavour scholarship and fellowships to Australian and overseas citizens for postdoctoral researchers. So this is specific to one country that we have targeted as an example, that is Australian government fellowship, which is named by Australian Endeavour's program, and they offer different scholarships. So if we look at here in second paragraph, you have to talk about your PhD, what actually you have done in your PhD project, what is your PhD dissertation. So here you will be briefly discussing that what was the main area of your PhD, and what variable you have integrated, and what you have extracted from your PhD, and what was the objective, what problem was in hand, which you have solved in your PhD or targeted in your PhD dissertation. But keep in mind, it should be very brief and very comprehensive and focused. In second paragraph, you will be talking about your PhD project. In the third paragraph, we can talk about your research skills, about your research experience, whatever you have done so far. In this third paragraph, for example, I have written that I have earned necessary research skills to supervise MPhil and PhD students in my university. I have attached my resume or CV for your review. I am eager to work with you under proposed research program and additional research. Whatever you want, you can write here, but the most focus is here you will be talking about your research skills, your CV, and you can give the reference of your CV, which contains your publications, top tier publication, and so on. Then you can say, I'm confident that I'll be able to put my efforts to contribute to the research pool of finance and commerce department of Queensland University of Technology during my stay of postdoctoral studies. So in this, after that, in the last paragraph, I have developed a brief proposal as a part of my application. Here you can mention the title of your proposal, in which domain you are going to work with that professor. Okay, and here you can just add the name of your title of your proposal. Then you can say, if you are willing, that I request you to review my materials and consent to host me. This is required for Endeavour's program. Then you can say that if you just, I can send you my complete proposal. Okay, then in the end you can mention your particulars, like name, your designation, and which department you are working, and most important, your email address and Skype ID or whatever is the instrument which you used for corresponding. So this is the cover letter which you have to write that can be useful. while you are sending the email to a potential supervisor or professor. So this is cover letter, and here I have mentioned that I am attaching my CV. CV is also one of the important part, and normally we put everything in CV, but we have to dress our CV or resume as per the target as per the requirement or target fellowship. In CV normally uh, we focus on three components throughout the world. When you are talking about your resume, they focus only three parts. First is your academic background, second one is your research contribution, and third is your services or administration. Either you are involved in different administrative work or services towards community. Like here is I have my CV. You can write about your CV in this way, whatever you want. It's just sample, not necessarily you have to follow or not, but it's sample. Here we start from the in under the head of your name you can put your designation and your university name, your contact detail. If you have some web page, you can mention your web page, or you can mention the URL of your Google Scholar link. You can mention the link of your Google Scholar or ResearchGate if you are registered there. You can mention the ORC ID of your profile. Then objective, what is your core objective of seeking for this any opportunity. You should be very clear in your objective. If you have everyone is having a few skills, you can write here your brief executive profile. What is your core competencies, what is your core strengths, then you can mention here executive profile. Then there is your academic or educational background. Here you start from the most recent your qualification, means your PhD. You can write here the your time duration, how much it took the time, and you can mention the name of university where you earned your PhD and so on. Then your master degree and your undergrad degree. And there if you mention CGPA, that will be much better. CGPA or percentage, that's also appreciable. So it's up to you. Then you can place the head of academic appointments. Your experience is there. You can start from the academics and your recent job to your preceding jobs, and under the each academic appointment you can mention the major assignments in which you are involved. Like I have written that head of finance cluster, teaching at graduate postgraduate level, thesis supervision, and so on. And it varies from you can address with your duties and your profile. Then you can list on the experience whatever you have, and you must have to mention about the major assignments which in which you are involved. That is the first step, that is your qualification, educational background. Second part is your research contribution. Very important, very important. And I will be suggesting, don't go for the quantity, just focus on quality. You have to mention only few papers, research papers, which have significantly contributed and which you have published in top tier journals. Professor will never look at how many you have papers. If you are having only one papers and which has been published in a top journal, that will give you more strength as compared to if we put 20 papers, 30 papers, 10 papers. You have to cut down. This is very important, and this had obviously This head will help you to get the interest of your supervisor or potential professor. And obviously it's the overall proof of how much you have research skills. Either you can produce quality research in research paper, quality research you can publish in top tier journals. You have to mention only few, or if you are thinking that all the papers are published in good journals, then you can mention, and that will be much important. I'll be suggesting don't write any mention any journal which is low category journal, low quality journal. I'll be suggesting always focus on top quality papers. Even you are having only 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 papers, just focus on those one. Then you can mention here the under review papers. If your papers are, any of your paper is under review, again I'll be suggesting that just mention the paper which are under review or process in top tier journals. Just leave the low quality journals from your resume. It will create a significant impact while you are getting the how I can say consent from professor or supervisor or availing this scholarship. Okay, then you can go for the ongoing papers, the papers which are in progress. And you can mention here the authors which you are working with them, and you can target the journal, for which journal. Always suggesting that always once you will be writing a paper, keep in mind a journal for which you have to dress your paper. You have to build the story according to the scope, according to the nature of journal. So as I have mentioned, I have few papers in progress. Like here is a paper we are working for this paper for applied economics, and for example we are working a paper that we are targeting emerging market review. So here are my co-authors which we are engaged in this paper. So these are the ongoing papers. Then you can mention if you are engaged in some research outcomes, if you have written book chapters or you have submitted some book chapters, you can mention here as well. This next part is related to the if you have engaged yourself in conferences, participated in conferences, you can mention here. Again I'll be suggesting just mention the top tier conferences here, very important conferences. You can mention the paper which you have presented in good conferences. So after that, if you have conducted some seminars, webinars or research workshops, if you have attended or if you have conducted or as a resource person, you can mention as well here. Then the third major pillar is teaching contribution. Important. Here you have to write 1 or 2 paragraphs related to brief profile, brief summary of your teaching, your research, your teaching methodology. So you can mention here the courses which you have taught, at which level you can mention here. Then teaching and research. Then it's also important part. Obviously you might be supervising our master or MPhil scholars. You can mention here the name and their title and what's the status of their degree. You can mention here, suppose I have supervised few PhD scholars. You can mention if you have supervised some master thesis and so on. You can place the detail related to those thesis. Okay, the important part, one important part is services. Either you are engaged in different services towards society, like maybe we are referring of different journals, or we are having some editorial work with different journals. Suppose I am referring of these journals, we can mention. Again I'll be suggesting that mention the journals which you are a reviewer. that should be quality journals, top quality journals, either one journal, two journal, or three journals are fine. So then next one is if you are engaged in evaluation, thesis evaluation, you can place the name of scholar, their title, in which university you have evaluated that thesis, and which years you can because thesis evaluation are these all are related to services, and we are evaluating a research paper, we are evaluating a thesis. These are services. You can mention here under the head of services. Okay, then I have also engaged myself in different traditional services, like I am on the external examiners of different universities, and you can mention here in a bullet. Then you can place that either you are part of any faculty board meeting or board of advanced studies. You can place there if you are a member of advisory board, and whatever you have worked with different research communities or different universities, you can place here. Then you can mention if you have some distinctions or awards. Maybe your PhD is funded by, you won the scholarship, or funded by your local funding agency like HEC. You can mention here if you won some awards, you have worked on different projects or so on. You can mention here. If you're working on some research projects or research grants, that can be also placed here, because your CV is very important and it will engage the interest of supervisor. It will get the interest of your potential supervisor or professor to give you the consent to work with you, because it's proof that you already have done with a lot of work. And if you have provided some if you have appeared or participated in some trainings and workshops, you can mention here. And the end, you can place the references. I'll be suggesting always place the reference of your PhD supervisor or master supervisor. That will bring a significant change. That is about CV. I'll be suggesting you can construct your CV in this way. Then I'm very confident you will be getting a good response. Then there is accomplishment statement. It's important. It's about the brief profile of your overall career background or your academic background. You can draw an accomplishment statement of 1 or 2 pages. It's important. And in first paragraph, you can talk about your introduction, where you belong, and you can talk about your academic qualifications. Then you can discuss that currently in which domain you are working, what is your areas of interest. Areas of interest. Then you can talk about the brief summary of your overall activities, like as I have discussed that we normally divide our time into 3 activities, like teaching, research, and services towards society. You can place here. Then in second paragraph, you can talk about your strength, in which domain you are having strength. Either you are having strength in qualitative side or quantitative side, which subjects you are good in teaching and research. You can talk about your strength in this paragraph, and that is important. Here you can, in next paragraph, you can talk about how long you are engaged in teaching. What was your most was your approaches towards teaching? That is important. How you engage the students in class, and how you can give them assignments, and how you can take the interest of students while having lecture. It's important. And actually these paragraphs are related to my teaching, your teaching, because we have divided our CV, our overall work, into 3 categories, like research, like teaching, research, and services towards community. So here you can write, you can talk about what kind of subjects you are teaching, at which level you are teaching, and how long you are involved in teaching. Then you can talk about research, you can talk about your top publication and top domain, your domain in which you are working. It's you can describe here. And if you are engaged in different research projects, you can mention here. Then about your supervising, you can write the supervising at which level and how many PhD or master students you have supervised, in which domain they have worked. Then here is about your services. What is your core services, in which what is your core duties which you are having in your current job as well as you are in your previous jobs. And in this last paragraph you can summarize your profile related to teaching, research and so on. It's an accomplishment statement. There are a lot of samples available on the net. You can take the help from there. So here is another cover letter. Once there are, as I have stated at the earlier in this lecture, at the start of this lecture, there are two types of fellowships, scholarships. One is scholarship funded by your own country. One is fellowship that is funded by the host country. Like different universities are offering different fellowships. If I took the example of Australian National Universities, I was exploring fellowship opportunity. In 2017, they have called for fellowship, postdoctoral fellowship in 2017 in their finance department, and how we can write the cover letter to if some of the universities, of any of the universities calling for postdoc fellowship. So I have started the research school of finance, and this of the university. Subject, we can mention the subject here that is important, reference of fellowship. Then you can write the level of fellowship, and here dear recruiter of Australian National Universities. In first paragraph, as I have explained, that will be related to your introduction and objective of writing this paper, then this letter. Then second paragraph is related to your PhD, but you should be very brief, what you have done in your PhD and what's your plan for your postdoc, and how your project will contribute towards it, towards the university. But as I understand, these fellowships are already planned, and they have they call these fellowships which belongs to a specific project. If your skills, your education, your qualification are related to that call, then you can apply for that particular fellowship. And in this third paragraph, you can talk about your skills, research skills. If you have some experience of research, you can mention here, and in the end you can put your particulars and so on. Now we have discussed four components. One is cover letter, general cover letter. Second one is specific to university cover letter. Third is CV, and fourth one is accomplishment statement. And the other part is how we can write the email. What should be the in the body of email while we are sending the email to a professor, or different what we have to write. I will relate here. I can relate the email with my first example, which I given you for Australian Endeavour program, and I have discussed in detail that how we can write the cover letter. But here, what we have to write in the email, you can place this. You can put the subject: application for Endeavour's postdoc research fellowship round blah blah blah. So you start from the name of professor. Suppose we took the example of Professor Peter. Dear Professor Peter, hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to seek your willingness to host Endeavour's postdoctoral fellowship, which is offered by Australian government. And here you can place the link. For detail, you can explore the link. Then you can write about the professor, then where this professor, the targeted professor, is fits for your application. Here you can talk about his profile. You can say that I have gone through your profile and you are working in different but in second paragraph you can talk about your PhD and so on, your experience, what you have the guts, what you have the skills for your postdoc. In third paragraph you can talk about the profile of professor, how you will be able to know about the profile of professor, in which domain he or she is working. Keep in mind our last lecture and we have discussed in detail how we can explore the profile of supervisor and how we will be able to know in which domain they are working. So if you look at here in third paragraph, your profile page shows that you are working in the domain of corporate finance. Obviously if you have developed the proposal in the domain of corporate finance and the professor is working in same domain, then you can write here and you can talk that the professor you have already published in top tier journals and your supervision will groom my research skills. And then you can say that during this stay we can publish few research papers in top journals. And you can talk about yourself. I have above average research skills, which is evident from my last 4 years, 5 years, whatever you have the experience, that is the evidence. And you have participation, if you have participated in conferences, seminars, you can give the reference here. In the second last paragraph, here you can talk about your research proposal. I have developed a brief proposal for application titled, you can mention the title, whatever you have done with proposal. Here I will be suggesting proposal. This proposal should be very brief, and our next video is related to how we can construct a proposal for postdoc or PhD studies. And you can write the title of your proposal. Then you can request the professor that if you suggest, I can share my brief proposal, and then you can put the request to professor to give you some consent. In last paragraph you can write that the CV is attached, and if there are some other related documents related to that fellowship, you can attach as well, or you can also attach your accomplishment statement. This can be the part of your body of email. And I hope these all documents will help you, how we can take the interest of professor, how we can get the consent, how we can cross bond with different professors. I wish you best of luck, and I will be providing I can provide the link of these documents in the description of this video. Thank you very much. Stay blessed.